I've shown you guys in past videos different examples of just how broke everybody is right now and how dire the situation is when it comes to people's financials. But in addition to that, it's not just how broke everybody is, it's also how desperate everyone is, guys. And one thing that we know for sure is that the cost of housing is probably the biggest driver of this desperation. And I have a local story here that kind of backs up this claim, okay? There was a new building built up in Hollywood, Florida, and they had 113 units for affordable housing, okay? And in order to live in one of these affordable housing units, you have to apply to live there. For 113 units, this place received 20,000 applications, guys. 20,000. Only 113 units, 20,000 people need to live there. Here's the crazy thing, in order to even be eligible to apply to live in one of these places, you can only make 60% or less of the area's median income. That's it. So you have to be pretty poor to begin with to even be eligible, and then on top of that, you have 20,000 people applying for the same place. There's no doubt that this is a housing crisis, okay? When that many people are looking to apply to just one place, you know things are not going so well. And honestly, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I think more and more these people are just gonna end up living out on one of these boats or something like that for free in the middle of the bay, because what else can you do if you can't find an affordable place to live? That's much better than being homeless, guys. You have your own spot at least, and you know, beautiful view every day. So I'd much rather be living out there than, you know, trying to sleep under the bridge somewhere. And here's the other crazy thing about this. In order for this to be considered affordable housing, you have the units there for rent anywhere between $1,100 and $1,400 a month, and now that's supposed to be considered affordable, guys. Like, and it is, don't get me wrong, especially for Miami. I'm not saying that it isn't, but it's astonishing that that's cheap now. You know, you're paying $1,400 a month in rent, that's cheap. I know there's people out there that have mortgage payments that are less than that, because they bought a cheap house in a cheap area, have a decent interest rate, okay? That's what people are paying for rent right now who are desperate for affordable housing. I mean, that just goes to show you how expensive things have gotten. In case anybody's wondering why I'm walking in circles, I wanted to go back this way and take you guys over by the water, but this building is having some kind of alarm situation and it's really annoying, so don't want to put you guys through that. So since this building isn't located in Broward County, here's some of the stats over there, okay? 62% of renters in Broward are cost burden, which means that they're spending 30% or more of their household income just on rent. And 52% of the 60% are severely cost burden, meaning they're spending more than 50% of their income just on rent, guys. That's horrific. That's where things are at right now. Here's a paragraph right out of this story, not out of my mouth, but out of this story that says, we're now in a situation where people aren't saving, people are incurring debt, and we're struggling to find housing at median prices. So it looks like every time I make a video about how broke everybody is right now and how expensive everything has gotten, it's not just my imagination, it's not just me saying this. This is backed up by real world data here. And right now the median rent price for a unit here in South Florida is anywhere between $2,500 and $2,800 a month, guys. That's just normal now. So basically people that want to move in there, they just have to fill out an application and they're entered into a lottery system, and they just pick random winners of who's going to get to move in. It's crazy because, you know, this is basically like winning the lottery. You got 20,000 people applying for one building out of 113 units. So I'm sure the people who actually get their number pulled are going to be feeling like they won the lottery in this case. If you're somebody who applied for this, you better be ready to answer the phone, because they say they will reach out to 20 applicants at a time, and those who are selected will have 72 hours to respond to 2 phone calls regarding the applications. And then from there, they're going to be asked to provide additional information, including their income and prior resident history. And of course, a background check will be performed and an application fee must be paid. So you better be ready to answer that phone and provide whatever they ask you for if you want to have any shot at moving into a place like this. And, you know, for me personally, guys, it's also just mind-blowing, because when I first moved here to Miami, that was kind of like the normal rent that you would pay to live in like a nice area, like close to the beach. You could even live on the beach. My first place that I rented on my own here I was paying $1,000 a month, okay? $1,000 a month. and it was an oceanfront rental with a partial ocean view with parking. Now that price is what you would consider affordable housing. And my question is, what happens to all the rest of these people that don't get their name pulled? Obviously there's not enough room for everybody, so where do they go? Where are they living right now that they need to move into this place? I don't know. We were talking about evictions the other day. I think you're just going to see a massive amount of people become homeless over the next several years, guys, with the way this is going. Like, I don't see how it can go any other way right now. And of course, nobody wants that, but it seems like that's the direction things are headed right now. But you're constantly seeing the news in two different worlds here. You know, we can talk about how broke everybody is and how evictions are going through the roof right now, and right afterwards we can just talk about how well everybody's doing too. Because take a look at this. There are 6 metros in Florida right now that are leading the nation in all cash home purchases. So in these same areas where you have people spending more than half of their income on rent, you're seeing more cash purchases than ever, or anywhere else for that matter. In Jacksonville, West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Tampa, and Orlando are the metros where this is happening. Of course, the most popular places where everybody moves to when they come down to Florida, guys. Like, those places are on the list of where everybody moves when they come down here for the most part. And when you see just how many purchases are being made in cash, the number's kind of stunning. Okay, in Jacksonville, 54.4%. West Palm Beach, 53.4%. Fort Lauderdale, 46.2%. Miami's 44%. Tampa's 42%. I mean, that's basically half in most of these areas. And obviously you have other places too that are not even in Florida here, like Cleveland, Ohio. You got Atlanta, Georgia, Baltimore, Maryland. Cash purchases, guys. So in these places you have a combination of rich cash investors that just have money to burn, obviously. And then at the same time, you have people that were able to take advantage of the huge run-up in the housing market that had a lot of equity, sell those properties, and then move somewhere a little bit cheaper and basically pay cash. This just goes to show you, and also backs up my theory, that the people who are mainly purchasing real estate right now are people who are extremely well off. And when you're seeing half of these purchases being made in cash, that just goes to prove it right there. It's also why you're seeing the median home price continue to tick up, because when there's fewer home sales but the homes that are being sold are more expensive, then naturally it's going to push the median home price up. But it doesn't mean that homes are continuing to appreciate in value. It just means that rich people have a lot of money to burn and are buying those properties, is what it means. And then if it's not bad enough that you have the rich buying up all this housing, you know, people that can't afford to buy on their own are turning to family members and parents to help them out as well. According to a recent survey, 36% of Gen Zers and millennials who plan to buy a home soon expect to receive a cash gift from family to help fund their down payment, okay? That's according to Redfin. That's 1/3, guys. 1/3 of everybody looking to buy in the younger generation is gonna be getting help from the bank of mom and dad. They're also getting inheritance. 16% of them say that they're gonna be using inheritance to help fund their down payment, and 13% of them say they plan to live with their parents or other family members to save money for down payments, which obviously is the hard-working way to do it. But this is still not the norm for most people. You know, some of us actually still have to work and save our money ourselves, because 60% of Gen Zers and millennials say that they'll still have to save money directly from their paychecks, and 39% are also saying that they're going to work a second job in order to save money for a down payment as well. So you have a lot of people out there that still have to really bust their ass to achieve the American dream, and don't just get it handed to them by the bank of mom and dad. Congratulations if you did, but consider yourself a lucky lottery winner, just like these people who won the lottery with the affordable housing, guys. Make sure you don't throw it away, because you're receiving an opportunity that most of us never will. Now, they do say in this story that Gen Zers and millennials face a more difficult financial landscape than their parents did at the same age because their wages are lower than their parents' wages were, and they have more student loan debt, and inflation has pushed up the cost of nearly everything, including housing. And I think none of us can really argue with that, and nobody's saying that, hey, if you grew up, back in the 70s or 80s, you didn't have your fair share of challenges too. I think we can all agree that the unique set of circumstances that we're being dealt today in the world are pretty tough to manage, especially as a young person. Basically nobody from 30 or 40 years ago had 6 figures in student loan debt either. Now they go on to say that, well, people that don't have financial help are at a major disadvantage. Like, well, yeah, no kidding, hasn't that always been the case? But the thing is, before, people might have had a fighting chance to keep up and achieve the American dream on their own before real estate went parabolic, And there was a lot more homes to choose from as well. But just like we talked about the other day in my video regarding deflation, if everybody would just stop spending for a little while, this could help bring prices of everything down. And I think that people could do that for real estate as well. But here's the problem. Housing gets more expensive, let's throw more money at it. Rich people buy more expensive properties. Housing gets more expensive, parents and grandparents continue giving their children and grandchildren money to buy houses, further increasing prices. So everybody's just continuing to add money into the pot to help the Ponzi scheme grow. It's funny because, if you were pitched right now to join a multi-level marketing company and start investing $500 a month and with the promise that you're going to be rich as long as you get 10 other people to join up and they get 10 other people to join up, would you do it? Most people would say no, right? But we all jump on board when it comes to a Ponzi scheme like the housing market right now. Let's just throw more money in, and it's not just real estate, it's car prices, everything that we buy that's optional, that doesn't need to be purchased right now. You're contributing to that problem, just so you know. Every time you give somebody money to go buy a house, you're basically saying, I'm okay with housing continuing to get more expensive and giving somebody this money, and that's just going to make real estate more expensive. No big deal. So this part of the video should be motivation for anybody who doesn't come from generational wealth, who doesn't have access to the bank of mom and dad, to make sure that you work extra hard if owning a home is something that you want to achieve, because that's going to be the only way it's ever going to happen. I'm sorry to tell you, because in this same survey, 43% of Gen Zers and millennials also say that they're unlikely to purchase a home anytime soon because the housing market's too expensive. 34% say that they can't save the money for the down payment due to the high cost of living, and also 30% say they can't afford the mortgage payments, and 30% say that the mortgage rates are too high. But never mind that, just keep throwing money at the Ponzi scheme. Here's something fascinating. The other day when I talked about potentially using cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, to be able to buy real estate, I think that's a very good use case for it in the future as it becomes more popular for people to hold Bitcoin. One of my viewers reached out to me, sent me an email, Vlad. He is from Canada, but he lives in Georgia, the country, not the state here in the US. He lives in Georgia, over there by Russia, and he says the real estate market there is basically the Wild West when it comes to regulations. There's basically none. But one thing that's interesting about it is that basically their property system and title system works off the blockchain over there, which is kind of a step in this direction. So I wanted to share this story of a country that's kind of already doing this and how it works. He says over there that construction buildings are going up like no tomorrow right now. Everybody's paying cash for the most part. When you want to go buy a property, you and the seller, you go to a nearby public service office and submit a handwritten purchase and sale agreement, which is totally free, and the clerk verifies that you are who you are and checks the details and processes a fee for the transaction. The fee is $130 in local currency. And that's if you need it to be done instantly. If you can wait 4 days, it only costs $60. And then that's it. That's the whole transaction right there, guys. There's no going through all the motions like we have here in the US, like, waiting for all the different title and lien searches to come back or anything like that. Because it's all run on a centralized government blockchain over there, they're able to process the transfer of title from people in a matter of minutes. He said 60% of the time, you walk out of the title office and you already have the title in your name already. At most, it might take a few hours. He said there's no need for all these different fees like we have here in the US or Canada. You don't need a lawyer, you don't need a title company, you don't need anybody in the transaction. He says that they even have a slogan over there that says everything is in one office. So talk about convenient and easy and cheap to buy real estate. That's the way to go, guys. And I think that this is going to be coming in the future. I mean, just look what's happening with AI. Everybody's trying to make it force you to drive an electric car and all this stuff. You don't think they're going to try to cut out every single possible person in the transaction as possible in order to not pay people? Believe me, it's coming. You already see people don't want to pay real estate agents the full commission anymore. Next, it's going to be mortgage brokers. Then it's going to be insurance brokers. And then it's going to be the title companies that are going to get, their axe because of blockchain systems like this. And before you know it, it's going to take, 1 hour to buy a property. And I kind of think that's a good thing because the process is way overly complicated. But of course, there needs to be checks and balances in the system, especially because of the amount of fraud that we have. But he did say that if you owe any type of fee, like unpaid taxes or a fine or a lien to the property, that will prevent you from transacting the property. You won't be able to sell it until that's cleared, which is the same thing here in the US when you're getting your title search done. I definitely think there needs to be the right balance struck. Like there needs to be a balance between the transaction being too easy and make it too easy for fraudsters. Obviously, we don't want that. But at the same time, the process we have right now is just painstakingly, ridiculous and expensive, guys. I mean, just go look at your closing statement and see how many different fees are on there, guys. You're gonna see fees for the mortgage broker, you're gonna see fees for the real estate agent, you're gonna see fees for the title company, processing the lien search and the title search and all this different garbage that they have to do. And you basically have a third world country that has it all streamlined and figured out. So I wonder how long it's going to be before we figure it out over here and turn to a system like that. So for anybody who doesn't think that a future like this is possible, realize that it's already happening in different parts of the world. It's probably just going to be a matter of time before it comes here. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.